What's up, it's me, D.W.C, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have another video in MLB The Show 20 in franchise mode. In today's video, I am going to be putting together a team of my favorite players and seeing if they can win a World Series title. So we're going to be starting with the Red Sox, as they are my favorite team, so they're obviously going to have a couple of my favorite players, so it just makes it easier to start with them. I'm going to be trading for all my favorite players in the league at each position, and then we are going to run with that team and see if they can win a World Series, putting everything on manual as always. I have a list of players right here by the side of me that I'm going to target. I'm either going to show you the list of all the trades at the end or each trade as we go through individually. I'm going to record both of them either way and then decide afterwards which way I want to do it. But I'll show you quickly which players are definitely staying on the team. Eduardo Rodriguez is staying on the team. I really like him. You look at his career so far, nothing crazy, but these last 2 years that he's had, I think, are very promising for him. And he did show some promise early on. He had two not-so-great seasons, but I think he's really going to turn it around. He's 26 now, so I think he's going to start to pick it up and have a really good career for himself. So that's one player that'll be staying on the team. Workman will also be staying on the team because I've been a fan of his ever since he helped us win the World Series back in 2013. I've really liked him since then, so he's going to stay on the team, and he had a breakout year last year where he absolutely dominated, so we are going to hold on to him. Dustin Pedroia is one of, if not my favorite player of all time. Obviously, he's not going to be impactful for the team because he's a 75 overall at this point, and he's probably not going to be our starting second baseman, along with the fact that he's been injured for the last 2 seasons. So, with that being said, I am still going to keep him on the roster just because he's my favorite player, Dustin Pedroia. I love the guy. I'm not going to trade him away. For third base, I'm between Rafael Devers, Eugenio Suarez, and Nolan Arenado. Obviously, Nolan Arenado is going to be the most difficult out of them to trade for, so it really is going to come down to Rafael Devers and Eugenio Suarez. So there's a possibility of Rafael staying on the team. Xander Bogaerts is staying. He's my favorite shortstop in the league. He's probably my favorite player in the MLB right now, so he's not going anywhere. JD Martinez is most likely staying because he's probably my favorite hitter in baseball right now, just a pure hitter. And being in the American League, you need a designated hitter, and I can't think of any other designated hitters that I like more than JD Martinez, so he's probably going to stick around. But other than that, everyone else on the team is probably going to be traded. So Verdugo is probably going to be traded. Bradley and Pilar are definitely getting traded. Benintendi's gone. Munoz is gone. Chavis is gone. Peraza is gone. Moreland's probably gone. Cassius is gone. Vasquez is probably gone. So yeah, we got a lot of trades to make. I'm going to get into them now. I'll show you them as we go, or a list of them at the end. Trade number 1, we are picking up one of my favorite starting pitchers in the league right now in Jose Barrios. I love this guy. He's got great movement on his pitches. He's a really good young pitcher. I think he's going to have a great career ahead of him. He struggled in his first season, but since then he's been very solid, and I think he's got a good long career ahead of him. So we're going to be picking him up. Unfortunately, we're going to be trading away our biggest trade piece in Chris Sale, and we have to pick up 2 players that we don't really care about just to make the money match in Chacin and Tyler Clippard. But this is the first trade. We're bringing in a piece for our rotation. So our rotation so far is Eduardo Rodriguez and Jose Barrios. Trade number 2 is now on your screen as we are picking up Whit Merrifield for our second baseman. He is currently my favorite second baseman in the league. Obviously, he plays many other positions. He's played a decent bit of center field, but he's a very good contact hitter. He gets on base a decent bit, and his OPS is fairly decent for a second baseman, around 800 or above the last 3 seasons he's played. Like I said, he's a good contact hitter. Got 200 hits last season, nearly 200 the year before, 40-plus doubles the last 2 seasons, and he also got 34, 45, and 20 stolen bases in his last 3 seasons, so he can steal some bases for you. He can hit the ball well, and he can field fairly decently. He can field pretty well for a second baseman, actually. So he is going to come in and be our starting second baseman. I know I said Dustin Pedroia is my favorite player at second base, but obviously he's not going to be able to be our starting second baseman on a championship contending team, as he's 75 overall and 35 years old, so he's going to continue to drop. So my second favorite second baseman in the league is Whit Merrifield, so we're bringing him in to come in and be our starting second baseman for this team. Here's another trade. In this trade, we are getting our first baseman in Anthony Rizzo. Now, at first base, I was between Freddie Freeman and Anthony Rizzo, but obviously Rizzo takes a lot less to trade for, so I'm going to go for Rizzo. They're pretty even in my mind. I like both of them pretty equally, so I'm going to go with Rizzo. We are giving up Chad De La Guerra, Yariel Munoz, and Matt Barnes to get Anthony Rizzo, and Steven Souza Jr. is just a throw-in. He's not going to impact the team really at all. He might come off the bench, but that is the trade we're going to be making for our first baseman right there. Picking up another arm for the rotation right here, we are getting Jameson Taillon. We unfortunately do in this trade have to give up our best prospect in the team in Tristan Cassis, but we are getting back another arm in that rotation to fill out our rotation. One of my favorite pitchers in the majors right now. You look at his stats, he's been pretty good. He's had his first season, he was really good. His third season, he was really good, and then he didn't pitch much last year. We know why that is, and if you don't, just look it up. But Jameson Taillon, and then we're also getting Jose Ozuna, who I don't really care about. He'll just be a bench bat for us if we want to use him as that. But this is a trade we're going to do. This is going to bring in our third rotation arm in Jameson Taillon. Picking up our fourth starting pitcher right here in Mike Clevenger. We also get Jake Bauers and Nolan Jones, who I will look to put into another trade to fill out this team. The main idea here is to get Mike Clevenger into the team. One of my favorite pitchers in the league currently. You look at his career so far, especially the last 3 seasons that he's pitched, he has been very, very effective. Only one season he hit 200 innings, so maybe not the most durable of pitchers, but he is very effective when he is in there. You see the ERA 3.11, 3.02, 271, and the WHIP 1.25 and under. So we're very happy with this pickup, and we unfortunately do have to give up Alex Verdugo in this trade, which is more value than I wanted to get put into this trade, but that's why we do get back Nolan Jones and Jake Bauers for value to put into another trade here now in a minute. Okay, the next trade we are taking Nolan Jones, who we just picked up, and immediately putting him back into a trade alongside Teddy Stankiewicz and Jackie Bradley Jr., and we are picking up the Big Maple James Paxton. Where I am Canadian, James Paxton is one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball. I think he's had some very, very solid outings in his career. He hasn't really put together as strong of a season as he's been capable of. This 1 year in 2017 with Seattle is probably his standout year. That's what I see him being capable of for a whole season, but unfortunately he's not been able to replicate that. But even looking at his other stats seasons throughout his career, every season has been pretty solid. He never has had one season that has been like overly poor. So he's been pretty solid and consistent throughout his career. We're picking him up. He's going to be the 5th starter in our rotation, and he's going to slide in there nicely. Okay, for left field, we are going to be picking up Corey Dickerson. In my opinion, he's one of the most underrated players in baseball. You look at his career, he's been really, really good. He has an OPS of 832, which is very solid. Home runs, he's never been an extremely powerful home run hitter. 27, 24, 24 is pretty good for home runs. But the thing with him is he's been very consistent hitting for average throughout his career. His lowest average season was his first year in Tampa, where he hit 245, but every other year he's been 280 plus pretty much. Pretty good on base percentage, good OPS as I mentioned, very good hitter to be bringing into the team. He is going to be our starting left fielder. Here we have another trade as we are picking up Mitch Haniger for our right field spot. I know a lot of people in baseball love Mitch Haniger. I am one of those people. He's very good when he plays. Last season, he had a very down year average-wise, but if you look at the numbers, he didn't play that much, only 63 games, and he still had nearly an 800 OPS, and his OBP was over 300 with a 220 average, so that's very impressive. He's very good at getting on base, and he's a very solid outfielder for sure. So he's going to be our starting right fielder, and we're also picking up a reliever for our team in Carl Edwards Jr. I'm a big fan of him. Last year he struggled a lot with an 8.47 ERA and a 1.47 WHIP, But before that, he was very, very solid in his career, and I think he's very capable of bouncing back. So we are picking him up. He's going to go into our bullpen. We are giving up Jeter Downs, who is a prospect the Red Sox got in the Mookie Betts trade from the Dodgers. And we are giving up a starting pitching prospect in Daniel McGrath, who is 25 years old. And we're also throwing in Dylan Hardy, who's just a deep potential just to make the trade go through. So right here, we're picking up a reliever for the bullpen in Alex Colome. I really like this guy. You look at his stats, he's been very solid throughout his whole career. I'm not sure why he's only 76 overall in this game. I don't really understand that. He should be higher in my opinion. But either way, he's a very good reliever, very solid, and he plays well in the show also. And we are giving up Nathan Eovaldi, Tyler Clippard, and Bobby Dahlbeck for this trade. So we're not giving up a whole lot, and we're getting back a reliever that I'm a big fan of. So that's an easy trade for me. The next bullpen arm we are picking up is Rozelle Iglesias from the Reds. I've been a big fan of this guy since he's been in the league pretty much. I'm not really sure why, but he's just been very solid for the most part throughout his career, and I really like him. I think he's pretty underrated, especially in this game as well. He did have a little bit of a rough season last year, but even so, his whip was still pretty low. It was just his ERA was a little bit high, but the 3 seasons before that, you look at them and they're really good numbers. So I'm going to be picking him up. He's a very good guy for our bullpen in my opinion, and that trade is going to go through. Another bullpen arm right here in Sean Doolittle, another guy I really like. Look at his career. He's been very, very solid throughout his career. The ERA was a little bit up last year, but he still got 30 saves pretty much, and his ERA wasn't that bad. Very solid throughout his whole career. A lefty for a bullpen coming in right here, giving up Matt Hall and Josh Taylor. Second trade with the Nationals. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Eaton and Doolittle in the same trade package, but we are picking up Adam Eaton for center field, as I don't really have a center fielder other than, I guess, Trout, who I love in the MLB, and there's no way we're getting Trout. So we're going for Adam Eaton. He's a guy I do like. I've liked him since his first season with the White Sox. He's been very solid throughout his career. Nothing flashy, nothing overly special, but he has been very solid. So we are going to pick him up, and he's going to be our starting center fielder for this team, with Kevin Pillar backing him up most likely. We are giving up a deep potential guy, Trevor Hildenberger, and Darwinzon Hernandez. So that is the trade for Adam Eaton to be our center fielder. Trading for our catcher, and it is going to be Wilson Contreras. He is a very good hitter as a catcher, and he's not an overly bad fielder. His fielding stats a little low, but he's got a very good arm to make up for it. And as I said, he's one of the better hitting catchers in baseball, alongside Garver and Gary Sanchez. I do really like Wilson Contreras. I think he's going to be one of the better catchers in baseball for the foreseeable future. So we are going to pick him up, and he is going to be our starting catcher in this team. Next trade is to pick up a guy that I like, not necessarily for his baseball talent, but more so for his personality, in Joe Biagini. I really like his sense of humor. Go watch some interviews he's done. I find him really funny. You might not, but he's just a bit weird, a bit eccentric. I like his sense of humor, so I'm going to pick him up, and he's going to be most likely our long relief guy in the bullpen. And we're also getting just 2 other players because our organization is running a little low on players because I've been giving up more players than I've been getting back. So we're doing a 3-for-1, and we're just going to fill out the team a little bit more. But we're getting Joe Biagini in the team because he's a player that I like personality-wise. Baseball, he's nothing special. Okay, and this is, I believe, the final trade that we're going to be making, as we are picking up another lefty for our bullpen in Jake Diekman. He's a guy that I've liked up for a long time, mainly because of how he performs in MLB The Show as a lefty. He's got a very hard fastball, and I've always pitched well with him in MLB The Show, so I like him for that reason. And I did like him when he was back in Philly at the start of his career when he was pitching well. He did have a good year in Texas, or a couple good years in Texas, but his last 2 years he struggled. But again, mainly picking him up for his ability to pitch in MLB The Show because I've always been good with him. So that is going to be the final trade, and I'll go show you the team, and then we'll simulate the season. So this is how the team lines up. We got Whit Merrifield leading it off for us, Corey Dickerson, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, Rafael Devers, Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras, Mitch Haniger, and Adam Eaton as our starting lineup. Then off the bench, we kept Kevin Pillar because I did really like him when he was in Toronto because he made a lot of good defensive plays, so I don't mind keeping him. Dustin Pedroia, obviously off the bench. As I mentioned, he was my favorite player for a long time. And then Jose Osuna and Steven Souza Jr. are just two guys in there for bench bats. I'm not going to go look for my favorite pinch hitters because that's not really important to the team. What matters is that the starting lineup is what it should be. Mike Clevinger as our ace, Eduardo Rodriguez, Jose Barrios, James Paxton, and Jameson Taillon. And then in the bullpen, we have Biagini as our long relief guy, Iglesias, Colome, Edwards Jr., and Diekman as middle relievers. Then Doolittle is our setup guy, and Brandon Workman remains as the closer for the Red Sox. So we are going to simulate the season, see how it turns out, and then hopefully, I assume we're going to be in the postseason because there's no way this team's going to miss the postseason, and hopefully we can go deep into the postseason. At the end of the season here, we have 106 wins. The team played fantastic. We are going to stop and take a look at how everyone did individually. We'll start off with the lineup. Whit Merrifield had a pretty good year, 277 average with 21 home runs, 788 OPS, not bad. It's about what we expect from him. Corey Dickerson didn't do too great. His average dropped. He matched his career lowest average with us, actually, which is pretty disappointing. He did hit 20 home runs, though, so a bit below what I was expecting for him, but if he's the worst in our lineup, we did pretty good. JD Martinez hit 48 home runs, fantastic. Bogaerts hit 39 home runs with a 300 average, an OPS of 951, fantastic. Devers had another good year, 38 home runs this year, 287 average, 904 OPS. Rizzo had a good year, 333 average, 983 OPS with 29 homers. Wilson Contreras did pretty good. Nothing special from him, really. 780 OPS, 261 average with 17 home runs. Mitch Haniger hit 26 home runs with a 272 average, high OBP, 836 OPS. That's about what we expect from Mitch. And then Adam Eaton hit 261 with 4 home runs, 683 OPS. Looks like he was the worst hitter in our lineup, but it looks like we did all right. Kevin Pillar off the bench did well, 774 OPS. Souza Jr. barely got in the lineup, doesn't matter. Osuna did a little bit. Lucroy did a little bit. And then Pedroia only got 29 at-bats, but he had a high average, which we like to see from my guy Pedroia. Now we're going to go check out the rotation. Clevinger looks like he had a really good year. 3.14 ERA with a 1.2 whip pretty much. Eduardo had a fantastic year, 2.6 ERA with a 1.24 whip. Barrios 3.75 with a 1.3 whip. Paxton 3.82 with a 1.25 whip. That's about what he does throughout his career. So we'll take that. And then Taillon 3.6 with a 1.2 whip. Biagini 4.1 ERA with a 1.2 whip. We'll take that as our long relief guy. His potential has actually gone up to a C, which is cool. Rozelle Iglesias had a pretty good year, 3.3 with a 1.2 whip. Alex Colome had a really good year. He tends to be really good in franchise mode this year. 2.35 with a 1.2 whip. He did get a save. Carl Edwards Jr. had a pretty good bounce back year with a 3.2 ERA. His whip was high, but he walks a lot of guys, so that's where that comes from. Jake Diekman had a pretty good year, 3 ERA with a 1.46 whip. Sean Doolittle was fantastic for us, 2.62 ERA with a below 1 whip, which is great, 32 holds. And then Brandon Workman, 3.77 ERA with a 1.45 whip is not great. He blew 10 saves. He got 33 saves. Could have asked for better from him, but overall the team performed really, really well. So we're going to move ahead and get into the postseason and hopefully win ourselves a World Series. Red Sox versus Yankees in the postseason. This is what we like to see. Can we beat them? We lose 17-3 in Game 1. That is disgusting. Can we win Game 2? No. Can we win Game 3? Yes. We are going to quick manage Game 4 because I don't want to lose to the Yankees and we just want to watch and see how it plays out. So we are going to play this and we are going to quick manage. Hop into it here. James Paxton on the mound versus Tanaka. The lineup is what I want it to be. Rafael Devers hits a 3-run home run to get us the lead in the 3rd inning. Adam Eaton hits a 2-run home run to put us ahead 5-0 in the top of the 4th inning. James Paxton got us through 7 innings, only giving up 1 run, and we are going to go to our bullpen, and we are going to turn to Carl Edwards Jr. as Colome's tired. and he gets us through that inning, which is perfect. In the bottom of the ninth, we are going to bring in, I guess, Biagini. We're up by 4 runs. If things get bad, we'll bring in Workman. But Biagini gets us through it cleanly, and we move on to a do-or-die Game 5 against the Yankees. Going with Mike Clevenger for Game 5. He had a really tough first outing against the Yankees, but we're really hoping for him to bounce back right here. Corey Dickerson hits a solo home run in the bottom of the 3rd inning to give us a 1-0 lead. Xander Bogaerts hits a solo home run in the bottom of the 6th inning to put us up 2-0. Bases loaded in the bottom of the 6th with 2 out. Whit Merrifield at the plate. Can he bring in a run? He does. He walks. We are now up 3-0. Another run scores after a second walk. We are now up 4-0. Mike Clevenger gets us through 7, but we are going to take him out and turn to our bullpen. We will bring in Colome for the 8th inning. And with a 4-run lead, we will just go to Edwards Jr. to try and close out the game. He gives up 2 singles. He strikes 1 out. He strikes 2 out, and he gets the pop-up. We will be moving on to take on the Astros. So we're going to simulate the first 2 games against the Astros after we fix our rotation. We are going to bump up Tyon to the first game as he's rested, then go Eduardo, Barrios, Clevenger, and Paxton like that. We lose 1 and win 1, so 1-1. Then we lose Game 3, lose Game 4, and you know what time it is. It is quick manage time. Wilson Contreras doubles in the top of the 4th inning to bring in 2 runs. Anthony Rizzo hits a 2-run homer in the top of the 6th inning to put us up 4-0. Anthony Rizzo again, this time with a double to bring in 2 more runs. We are now up 6-0. Make it 7-0 as Haniger brings in a run. And with a 7-run lead, Paxton gives up a double to lead off the 9th. We are just going to bring in Biagini to end the game. He gives up a 2-run home run, but we win the game 7-2. No worries right there. Moving on to the next game against the Astros. Corey Dickerson hits a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 1st inning to put us up 2-0. Eduardo Rodriguez gives the lead right back in the top of the 2nd, and the Astros actually take the lead 3-2. Bases loaded with none out in the bottom of the 3rd inning with Rizzo at the plate. He brings in 1 run. Sac fly brings in another run. We are now up 4-3. 4-3 game here in the top of the 5th. Eduardo Rodriguez has to come out. We are going to bring in Colome to try and shut things down here in the 5th inning. He gives up a walk. He gives up a run. He gives up 2 more runs, and that did not go very well. We are now down 6-4. Devers does hit a solo home run, though, to bring us back within 1. Adam Eaton hits a single to tie up the game, bringing in a run. Whit Merrifield brings in another run to put us up 7-5. It is an offensive battle here in this game. Colome walks a batter. He should not have been in there. I'm going to bring in Rozelle Iglesias. No, it is a lefty, so I'll bring in Diekman as Yordan Alvarez is coming up very shortly. Double play. Bregman hits a solo home run to tie up the game. Alvarez hits a single. So we are going to go to Rozelle Iglesias now. He gets us out of that inning. Corey Dickerson doubles in the bottom of the 7th to bring in a run. It is now 8-7 for us. JD Martinez singles to bring in another run, making it 9-7. Bringing in Brandon Workman after we put on 1 more run in the top of the 9th to close out the game. And he gives up 2 runs. He just needs to get 1 more out. Can he do it? And he gets a double play to end the game, 10-9. Very tight right there. Lots of offense. But we managed to get through it. Down 2-0 in the bottom of the 5th. Mitch Haniger hits a home run to bring us back within 1. Corey Dickerson doubles to bring in a run to tie the game. And JD Martinez walks it off in the bottom of the 10th inning to put us on to the World Series facing, who do you expect? Obviously the Dodgers. Game 1 we lose. Game 2 we lose. Game 3 we lose. Game 4 we win. And Game 5 we lose. This Dodgers team is impossible to beat in the first season of franchise mode this year. We continue to lose to them, but we do get to the World Series. My team played very, very well all the way throughout this. I'm very happy with how they played. If you want me to bring them back for a 2nd and possibly 3rd year, I will do that, but that will do it for this video. All my favorite players in MLB The Show on one team. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.